on 1345. There you go. Om Ajnana Timira. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shiyutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Dhritarashtra quits home. We are going through a long section. It's a philosophical section. So today's verse is text 45. It says, Tasman Chahyanga Vaikalyam Ajnana Krutam Atmanaha Katam va Anada Kripana Vataremas Varteram Stecha Mam Vina. Word for word goes Tasmajahi Anga Vaikalyam Ajnana Krutam Atmanaha Katam Tva Anada Kripana Varterams Teche Mam Vina. So word for word goes, therefore Jahi, give up, Anga, O king, Vaiklavyam, mental disparity, Ajnana, ignorance, Krutam, due to, Atmanaha, of yourself, Katam, how, to, but, Anada, helpless, Kripanaha, poor creatures, Varteran, able to survive, they, cha, also, Mame, Vina, without. Vina, without. It's not Vina. Yesterday was Narad Muni was telling whether you consider one to be soul to be the eternal principle or material body to be perishable or whatever way you go, feelings of separation are only due to illusory affection, nothing more. And this verse Narad Muni says, therefore, give up your anxiety to the ignorance of the self. You are now thinking of how they, who are helpless, poor creatures, will exist without you. That's what Alman is telling. Purport says, when we think of our kith and kin as being helpless and dependent on us, it is all due to ignorance. Every living creature is allowed all protection by the order of the Supreme Lord in terms of each one's acquired position in the world. Every living creature is allowed all protection by the order of the Supreme Lord in terms of each one's acquired position in the world. The Lord is known as Bhutabrut or Bhutabrut, one who gives protection to all living beings. So one should discharge his duties only, for no one but the Supreme Lord can give protection to anyone else. This is explained more clearly in the following verse. So Narada Muni is telling, or actually Krishna also does the same thing in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. He tells, just tolerate. Tam stitikshasva bharata. Whatever this um, feelings of feelings happening, emotions coming up. Matra sparshasthu kaunteya, sitoshna sukadukcha. There comes Bharati, he tells to tolerate as how we tolerate winter and summer. So similarly, Narman is telling here, give up the anxiety, and basically it's coming from ignoring yourself, ignoring who we really are, and the triggering point is the thought process which one thinks when we see the other person, which one thinks, oh god, this person is really helpless and they cannot exist without me. And Borijan Prabhu nicely says, he already gave us the hint from the unveiling his lotus feet book. He says actually illusion can very easily exist when there is this dynamics of caretaker and caregiver and caretaker, maintainer and dependent. Illusion very easily exists, and that's what happening here. Now it is Yudhishthira Maharaja's turn to get his illusion cleared. That's what Borijan Prabhu says. So usually I try to run away with my reading the purports, but there was only 2-3 sentences. I have to little bit really pay attention. I was paying attention for last 1 week, like really what is going on here, what am I to take, and it looks like Yudhishthira Maharaja, wonderful devotee, and he's perfect in his duties, and is fully Krishna conscious, so much so he is giving, although he's performing his kingly duties and everything clearly, nicely, he's also taking care of his uncle and Dhritarashtra very nicely. So much so, Dhritarashtra was thinking I'm fully dependent on Yudhishthira, right? I was thinking how it applies. Um, each of us have our families. We have a dependency on wife. Actually, this is the most prominent dependency. Women tend to think, if I don't cook, nothing will happen. They say, I have to cook every day. And the man of the house thinks, I have to work. Without me working, things cannot get going. So many ways we have a dependence or maintaining positions this way or that way. Um, who are all we have children. Especially I was thinking last Ramnami, Yadunandan was coming and very enthusiastically chanting along with the bhajans last Sunday when the bhajans are happening. So when you look at him, really he looks very dependent. How can we not think he's someone who is dependent on us, right? But Narayan is telling, you cannot think they're helpless poor creatures and they will not there and they will exist without you. He cannot be there without giving the food and without we caring them. So what am I to take? What am I to take? Like, just a real long lot of preparation going on. What is going on here? Essentially, it looks simple. The simplicity is when you feel emotional, when you stuck with the lamentation, which is nothing but the what is this fast processing of the thoughts, uninterrupted, constant processing of the thoughts. Somewhere the thoughts are really hitting the heart, and then there's a spontaneous emotion coming from it. So when there is really emotion, there is nothing wrong to acknowledge it. So here Yudhishthira Maharaj, right after Narada Muni comes, of course he offers obeisances, um, and then that's a interesting point. Our teachers also comment that although he's going through a lot of emotion, the culture is so much so etiquette is nicely followed. Okay, offer obeisances, nicely receiving, and all that. After everything is done, he just exclaims, "Oh godly personality! I do not know where my two uncles have gone. Now I can find my ascetic aunt who is grief-stricken with the loss of her sons." So Yudhishthira Maharaj is nicely, fully staying in touch with his emotions. And very, very nice thing he's doing is, this is what we also should do, is that taking shelter. He uses a very nice word when he was talking to Narada Muni. Uh, hmm, he uses a nice word in text 40. He says, of course, he says you are a captain in a great captain of a ship in a great ocean, and you can direct us to our destination. So that's what he is telling here. What he is asking is Arjuna also asks similarly, like when he was bewildered in the second chapter, after giving like very very nice reasons, he says, and his reasons are very valid. So much so, one of the reason he gives is, actually I heard from disciple succession, the religious, killing the punishing the elders of the family, it's not going to be good because religious traditions will break. So he's giving valid reasons. That's another side point. From the perspective of where of particular objects, like we have perspective from the senses, perspective from emotions, perspective from the soul, perspectives from Krishna. So everything at their own levels, they look perfect, isn't it? You see Adinandan, yes, we need to take care. And you feel emotional, yes, you need to take care. But our scriptures are there, our saints are pointing us, but there's a but. You have to acknowledge the boss, you have to serve him, right? So that's this is the seventh verse of Bhagavad Gita. He says, I'm confused about my duty. I have lost all my composure. I'm asking you, please tell me for certain what is best for me. Yes, Shreyasya Nischitam Bruhitanme. So, uh, so that's what it's going. We need to touch and get in emotions and take shelter for elevation. We need to get our business of elevation going. Otherwise, we cannot be. We are not. We cannot move, or actually, we cannot really make success anywhere. Without doing that thing. So again, I'm going back to Burjan Prabhu's book. Burjan Prabhu says, Yudhishthira, Narada Muni philosophically pointed Yudhishthira towards the ultimate maintainer. Um, that makes sense, right? If Krishna doesn't give us the ability, even if the other person is poor creature, how much can we do? Isn't it? Or even if the other person is a boss, you know, um, just jokingly calling wife and husband as a boss to each other because the interaction sound to be like that, right? So do not lament for anyone because everyone is under the control of the Supreme Lord. And what he does, it is he only who brings the souls together and disperses them. He only like arrange the situation, the people around us brought us, and he's going to disperse them. It's very important, because in relationships which we are interacting for a long time, we just think he's my property, whether it be son or a wife or anyone, he's my property. And of course then that leads to the I'm the one uh, carrying them, I'm the one to take care of them, like that. And On what basis Krishna is bringing the people around us together? Uh, all people attain their fate, either suffering or enjoyment. It's only due to their karma, the reactions to their past years. Prabhupada also tells in this purport, and today's was text 45. It says, every living creature is allowed protection by the order of the Supreme Lord in terms of each one's acquired position in the world. Each one's, you qualify for it, you deserve for it. That's it. That much we are allotted. And Prabhupada also, Bhujan Prabhupada also points to 41, where it says, ordinarily, one cannot change the course of happiness and distress by plan. Everyone has to accept, because they come under the subtle arrangement of Kala or invincible time. Although it looks like Krishna is sending the people are leaving to us, but it's not so. He's just putting a time. Okay, this much time, you have it. You can be together, you can be together. And then in this time, okay, whatever you deserve, you both can exchange the karma factor here. um, so during that time, usually what happens is we try to change the karma. We try to, when we get into the thinking that we are the controller, maintainer, and we decide to make the things go our own way, we try to counteract them. That's a usual business that goes in this material world. Okay, find the, in corporate world, we say, what's the root analysis? How can you fix it? How can we fix it? But Prabhupada says, therefore, the best thing is, therefore, one should endeavor only to achieve salvation. And this prerogative is given only to man because of his developed condition of mental activities and intelligence. So, but no matter how much ever we try to fix it, Prahlad Maharaj also tells, whatever you're allotted quota of happiness and distress, you cannot stop it. It's going to come. You are allotted this much happiness, it's going to come. You're allotted this much suffering, is going to come. It cannot be stopped because karma is karma. But what we can do from our devotional understanding is that we can change the future. We can conduct ourselves properly. Best is if we can get a liberated position, which happens through doing in the mode of devotion service. That's the best. But at least, if you do good, something good will come back again. If you do bad, something bad will come back again. There's a little juncture, they say. It is called the time between the action, or they say, are we reacting? Are we responding? So the better is respond. But if we react, like Edinandana or some poor creature we think is not eating, and we give him the slap, that's it. We're gonna get it back sometime later this year that way. But respond, what's up, buddy? Why are you not eating? Are you not feeling well, or your body is feeling feverish, or what's going on? And and also before that, we need to take care of ourselves, get in touch with your emotions, so that way we respond, it will be awesome. But better is fill ourselves with the Krishna consciousness, how Yudhishthira Maharaj is doing here. Yudhishthira Maharaj, so nice, he was getting into the problem, there comes a saint in his life, right? um, so Krishna, so yeah, he's lucky. So we should also cultivate to be open like that to the path of elevation, to Krishna's mercy, basically. Um, if you're not able to speak up openly, if you don't have that opportunity to talk with saint right away, the best is we can go to our holy name. Prabhupada says, when you chant with a loud cry, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And some people may not connect to chanting, but we can also come to the Shastra, taking shelter, and to get the instructions. And Narada Muni is giving nice instructions, what is the right thinking, what's going to happen, what's the course of action. So that's the lesson I was coming to. Uh, Going through this, trying to understand myself, what's going on. I made a formula to myself saying that you're going to get emotional because in my past uh, our past choices are not that great. Especially we were not devotees. That makes sense. Our choices were not that great, and things going to come up. We had put a lot of expectations, on ourselves and others, and the things around, and we are going to get burning sometimes. Sometimes it can go to separation from the people also. Emotions come up, hold on to the emotions, take the shelter, aspire to move on the path of elevation. That will be awesome. Narada Muni says no one can avoid the Lord's control. One may willingly follow his commands or unwillingly submit. We are anyway submitting to the Lord's plan. It is not possible to go beyond the Lord's plan. Either case, unwillingly or willingly, one must necessarily submit to him, for the Lord is the supreme controller. So what are we to do? One should simply act dutifully, for others' actions and attempts will entangle, other actions and attempts will entangle one in the illusion of the world. So whatever actions we do is going to bind us. The best is, offer the service to Krishna. And in the 43 we heard, as a player sets up and disperses his playthings according to his own sweet will, so the supreme will of the Lord brings men together and separates them. And Bhujan Prabhupada says, Prabhupada explained his purport. We must know for certain that the particular position in which we are now set up is an arrangement of the supreme will in terms of our own actions in the past. So now they assured Yudhishthira that the pain he felt at Dhritarashtra's separation was due only to illusory affection and nothing more. But the soul is eternal and the body is ephemeral. But then what is worthy of lamentation? He says, therefore, give up your anxiety due to ignorance of the self. You're now thinking of how they who are helpless, poor creatures will exist without you. So Narada Muni's advice is give up. Like the same thing Krishna was telling to Arjuna. You need to fight, my friend. You cannot get away at this point. By fighting is by doing your duty. That's when we get the perks, whatever we are looking for, by pleasing Krishna, not any other way. So that's a similar instruction is given here. So just I want to substantiate these understandings with some references. Okay, 3 references. Text 29 is a nice one regarding this theme. And the Prabhupada says, a conditioned soul is already degraded by material association. And still, in the Kali Yuga, the good qualities of man will deteriorate to the lowest standard. So Dhritarashtra was advised to leave home before Kali Yuga approached, because the atmosphere which was created by Vidura, his valuable instruction on the facts of life, would fade away due to the influence of the age, which is fast approaching. Okay, and yeah, one second. Yeah, that's what he says in text 28. Sorry, I read a little bit before that. So this is the point I wanted to mention. Is about text 29. He said that even by moments association with pure devotee, one can achieve all perfection. And Prabhupada is very nice one here. We are not ashamed to admit that this fact was experienced in our practical life. Were we not favored by His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj by our first meeting for a few minutes only? It would have been impossible for us to accept this mighty task of describing Srimad Bhagavatam in English. So, and without seeing him at that opportune moment, we could have become a great business magnate, but never would have been able to take the path of liberation, be engaged in the factual service of the Lord under the instruction of His divine grace. So Prabhupada is quoting his own example. How important, how valuable is the association of sadhu, and and of course, as I mentioned, we can take association of a sadhu. If not available right away, we can do by holy name, reading scripture, and so on. And he is quoting his own example, how the association is elevated. Actually, Prabhupada makes a sentence: if at all you want perfection, is crave for the association. Even moment of association with the pure devotee, one can achieve all perfection. Okay, and then the association, and then what are we to do, right? So it says in the 37th purport, Prabhupada says, satisfaction of the Lord is a criterion of one who is bona fide, and the highest perfection of life is to satisfy the Lord by one's occupational duty. So we need to look, how is it that we can please Krishna at this point? Yes, we are crying, but that's the path of elevation. We need to make that step. And furthermore, this is the final difference. I'm not going to say anything more after that. It is the favorite verse from Bhagavad Gita, which is 3:30. Very, very nice. You may all like it. The verse goes, Mayi sarvani karmani sanyas adnyatma chetasa nirasi nirmamo bhuti vidvasa vigatajvara. So this is the word that brought me back to, refer this verse, vigatajvara, yudyasya vigatajvara. Free from lethargy, fight. Krishna is telling, surrender your works unto me with full knowledge of me, without desires for profit, with no claims to protection, and free from lethargy, fight. So whether we are doing the right action or not is demonstrated by this. We need to move enthusiastically towards Krishna. Whether feeling emotional, not emotional, is a thing. If you're feeling emotional, be real, stay in touch. Because if we don't acknowledge, then it will not be a real situation. We need to come to the reality, everything, and that's going to be coming up in the future verses. There's eternal time, there's modes of nature around us, there are people around us, there we are, and the sanction of the Lord in the form of super soul. So we need to come in touch with all this reality. If you are feeling painful, be honest about it, and take the help and move on. So I'll just read a little bit of purport here. This verse clearly indicates the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. The Lord instructs that one has to become fully conscious to discharge duties as if in military discipline. Such an injunction may make things a little difficult. Nevertheless, duties must be carried out with the dependence on Krishna, because that's the constitutional position of the living entity. The reason is the living entity cannot be happy independent of the cooperation of the Supreme Lord, because that's the constitutional position of the living entity. Arjuna was therefore ordered by Sri Krishna to fight as if the Lord were his military commander. So, a lot of philosophy is going on. So, what does it mean? The beautiful form of Radha Shamsundar or Radha Madhav we see at the temple. Is the art is so harsh? It can sound like that, right? When we're going through philosophy, because we're talking about the rules and regulations, isn't it? But at the essence, what the Lord doing here is, he is doing a loving exchange. A terrorist may come and say, or a thief may come and say, I want to steal, and Krishna is facilitating that. A pure devotee may come and say, I want to be in the mode of service to everyone, I want to benefit everyone. Krishna is facilitating that. But he prefers that we are happy and the people around are happy. That is his, and he's the most loving person. So something we need to check back our heart and what are we asking. Here Yudhishthira Maharaj is asking path of elevation. So that's it from my side today. Very thankful for this opportunity. I was really scratching my head the last 1 week and trying to figure out what's going on here, and able to simplify that we need the higher association. Yeah, someone is saying something. Okay. I hope I didn't take you to the long journey, but essentially what we are trying to come is Krishna, the God, is supremely loving person. How when we go darshan, how sweet and how loving they look. But we are only messing up the things, thinking that I'm the boss, or other way to say is polishly is the other person is dependent on me. I have to do it, something like that. And then that makes us act, act in ways that's not healthy in any ways, And then we are the one entangling ourselves more and more. That's our life that's going on. But somehow Prabhupada came into our life and we're holding on to his loving shelter through his institution, through his books, through his Vani, through his disciples. And we just seeing elevation. At the same thing we need to do. We need to grab onto that shelter strongly. And then we also read that's the job only available and given to human beings, because other species cannot do it. So next time when we are feeling disturbed, we can see what we are thinking, what we are doing, and then make a choice of saying yes to the elevated path instead of the lower things. Of course, we may cater to the lower things, but we need to make sure that higher things are also taken care. That's it, Prabhujis and Matajis. Anything you want to correct?
Unmuted.
Or Prabhu?
Chandana Mata is unmuted. I don't know if she wanted to say something.
Maybe could someone share 1 or 2 persons to confirm my thoughts are going in the right direction? Or if you can, there's no force. Otherwise, we'll just continue doing whatever little I know. Hare Krishna. Lingaraji Prabhu, shall we hold?
No problem.
And I will read the purport again. So nice. So, when we think our kith and kin as being helpless and dependent on us, it's all due to ignorance. Every living creature is allowed to all protection by the order of the Supreme Lord in terms of each one's acquired position in the world. The Lord is known as Bhutabrut, one who gives protection to all living beings. One should discharge his duties only for one. No one but the Supreme Lord can give protection to anyone else. This is explained more clearly in the following. Actually, I forgot to mention one other thing. So here, Yudhishthira Maharaja is going through illusion, and Bhurijan Prabhu is also saying, actually, this is now his turn to get his illusion cleared. But he also puts a footnote in the uh, bottom of the that same page, cautioning, don't think, uh, cautioning, don't think he's like us. It's very good. Yeah. It says in the footnote in the page number 184, if anyone wants to refer, Maharaj Yudhishthira, acting as if attached, is a part of this pastime. His position is far different from that of Dhritarashtra, who was truly in illusion. Actually, all of the Pandavas, including Maharaj Yudhishthira, were great devotees. If you really want to um, bring him to our level, we really need to check the credits of Yudhishthira Maharaj. He's perfect in so many ways. you know. So then why is he doing what? Why he's acting as if attached? It is only to set an example to us. This is confirmed in the following verse of Bhagavatam. O Brahmanas, the opulence of the king was so enchanting that the denizens of heaven aspired for it. But because he was absorbed in the service of the Lord, nothing could satisfy him except the Lord's service. That's the main main credit. He Nothing could make him happy except serving the Lord. He's a wonderful devotee. So, but the great souls, we also hear from Bhagavad Gita in the introduction. Prabhupada says, people are real illusion, but what Krishna's extra mercy is that he puts his own devotees into illusion and tries to teach us the Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam and so on. So very, very cautious. If we go that they are also like us, they also have mistakes, you know, that's it. There's no hope for us. They're not at our caliber, they're not at our level. Hmm. In Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada says, actually, we're all swallowed by the tigress of Niscians. But the Lord is merciful to the living entity, very merciful upon the living entities. To this end, he spoke Bhagavad Gita, making his friend Arjuna his student. Being an associate of Lord Krishna, Arjuna was above all ignorance. But Arjuna was put into ignorance on the battlefield of Kurukshetra just to question Lord Krishna about the problems of life so that the Lord could explain them for the benefit of future generations of human beings and charts out the plan of life. And the man could act accordingly and perfect the mission of human life. Not only man, woman also. That's it, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for this opportunity. 7:41. We should close and we'll trouble you next month again. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Lingaraji Prabhu.